Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second community conversation of 2021 with the House of the Seven Gables. We are delighted to have you here, and we have been so fortunate to partner with community-supported film for the past few years to bring these really important topics to you online. And we've been very fortunate that community-supported film in turn has been so wonderful and so helpful in helping us get all of our technology up to date to bring you these films online. So we're really grateful for this partnership in a number of ways. I know that a few of you on this film definitely know a little bit of our background and our story, but many people think about the House of the Seven Gables and they think about the organization as a historic site full of houses from the 1600s, home of wealthy sea captains. But a lot of people don't necessarily realize that we have a long history in supporting local immigrant families in the area as well. The House of the Seven Gables was founded by Caroline Emerton. She purchased the mansion in 1908. Restored it, opened it as a museum, and she used those proceeds to fund a settlement house. The settlement house welcomed immigrants from all over the place and offered a variety of educational opportunities to help them literally settle into American life. And today, and especially here in 2021, we're so grateful that this work continues. Kate Dolmetsch, who is on the call with us tonight, is the New Settlement Partnerships Manager at the House of the Seven Gables. And this is her first community conversation, and she will be taking this series over both in terms of kind of planning and programming. So we're really excited to have her here. But Kate and our executive director, Kara McLaughlin, have really relaunched the adult ESL and citizenship programs in partnership with space donation from the Peabody Essex Museum. Really showing, I hate to use this word because we've all been using it for almost 2 years now, but it really shows the pivot that a community can make when they work together. And we've been able to serve well over 100 students with more programs and more plans in the works. So we're really fortunate for this partnership and really fortunate for Kate's leadership at the House of the Seven Gables. I also would like to thank Kaylee Redard from the House of the Seven Gables, amongst her many, many roles that she has at the Gables. Tonight, she is there on site, making sure we can see these fantastic films that you're about to embark on. So just thank you, Kaylee, for being here and helping us out with the public programming portion of tonight as well. And we will be viewing 2 films that were produced about immigrants by immigrants that were trained by the nonprofit organization Community Supported Film. Michael Sheridan is the founder and director, and he's here with us tonight as well. And we'll do a short introduction for him after the films. But we'll be hearing after the film from one of our filmmakers and possibly one of our subjects, if he gets himself out of traffic, about their personal experiences. And we really invite you to participate in this online conversation as well. We may be asking you, if you don't have questions, we'll be certainly asking you to do your homework and answering some of those questions with us in conversation as well. One of the tech problems that we've realized we've occasionally run into while the films are showing is that the volume might be a little bit quiet on your end of things. So we have the volume turned up about as loud as we can go on our end. So we'll definitely encourage you to turn the volume up as loud as you are comfortable on your end as these films are playing, and just get into them with a good listening ear. And if they are on the quiet side, we do apologize in advance. And then the last bit of housekeeping before Kayla gets us started is that we will ask you to stay muted, and we will have you have your videos off during the film. After the films, we would love for you to start your videos. We would love to see your faces, but we'll have you stay muted just during introductions. And then we'll share a few other guidelines after the films. So with that, we are very excited to get started with our series of New Immigrants and Refugee Visions tonight.
The films you are about to watch were made by and about new immigrants and refugees in the United States.
We made these films because we believe in the power of documentary storytelling to affect public opinion and policy.
We want the national debate about immigrants and immigration to be informed by the experiences and voices of new immigrants and refugees.
We have to find the story. What is it? That's your research.
Most of us came to this project with experience in some form of storytelling, but few of us had done any filmmaking.
Community-supported film provided training and mentored us through the process of finding a story and filming it.
Experienced editors worked with us on the post-production.
I think as a scene, it works by itself that way.
Community-supported film's mission is to amplify local voices in under or misrepresented communities so that they can effectively communicate their lived reality through documentary filmmaking.
Our projects focus on people, places, and situations, be they in Afghanistan, Haiti, or the United States, that we hear a lot about in the news, but seldom understand from the local perspective.
Our films are designed to be the starting point for discussion.
I'm curious why the filmmakers think that immigration becomes such a contentious point in society and why we default to hate or division.
I think the biggest thing that would be helpful in turning a page in how much hate is being spread around this world is really just talking.
We immigrants, we came to contribute to this country.
Please take advantage of the discussion guides and questions that you have been provided with, or which you can access from Community Supported Films website.
While there, please donate. This work depends on your support.
While watching our films, please keep in mind questions like,
What in our films reminds you of things or experiences in your own life? Or conversely, what feels unfamiliar, new, or surprising?
I don't remember these kids.
Those are your cousins from your father's side.
Really?
Some describe the United States as a melting pot, where all ingredients become one, and others as a salad bowl, which all ingredients remain distinct. Do you want our subjects to melt or remain distinct?
1, 2, 3. Push with your legs up.
Can you imagine our subjects being misunderstood, stereotyped, or attacked for what they look like or where they come from?
What actions should we take to address these misunderstandings or confrontations?
Thanks for watching.
We hope that our subjects' stories create a strong and lasting impression.
Hi, my name is Saeed Hashimi. I immigrated with my wife and 3 young children from Afghanistan in 2016. I grew up in Afghanistan and as a refugee in Pakistan. I worked in Afghanistan from 2005 to 2016 as a journalist and translator with the BBC and NATO. In the US, I worked at the New American Center in Lynn, Massachusetts, assisting other new immigrants and refugees. I'm now a communication officer at the Afghan Embassy in Washington, D.C. This is my first work on documentary film. Here is my film. Thanks for watching.
About your parents. Were your parents married before your 18th birthday? तपाईं 18 वर्ष पुग्दा आमा बुवा तपाईंको विवाहित नै हुनुहुन्थ्यो कि हुनुहुन्न थियो I never thought that I will be in this country. I never heard about America when I was a little kid, and now I am here in a big country. 02 नै हो यही राख्नुपर्छ भुटानमै जन्मेको हो नि
तुलसा चाहिँ यहाँ ए हैन नेपाल
तुलसा चाहिँ नेपाल जन्मेको है I'm one of the case manager for the refugees here in New American Center. दिदीले यहाँनिर सहयोग गर्नुहोस् त
यसमा चाहिँ
हजुर ठिकै छ अब होटेल लिएर थपका आला
अब यसमा मलाई नलाउँ कि यस लाउँ जस्तो यो एउटा चाहिँ शंका के तपाईलाई भनिहाल्छु सोधिहालेको मैले
ओके यति नै हो त ल How many more dumplings you are making? I was born in Bhutan. My whole family came to refugee camp in 1991 and I stayed there in refugee camp for more than 17 years.
Be some. Yeah.
Look at that, Dad.
Looks so yummy, right?
Yeah.
I have 3 boys with my wife. They are now more used to with the American food, not our cultural food. I do prepare American food, like sometimes. My wife, she definitely do most of our traditional food. I choose the easy way, steaks and burgers and hot dogs. Basnos, is this done?
No.
Not yet? Little bit of time? Okay. कसले ल्याइदियो बोजूलाई
साइलाले न अहिले बस्तीबाट अहिले आएर उति बनाऊ
अघि मोमो पकायौँ बोजू यहाँ थोरै यहाँ थोरै मोमो पकाएको नि आज
अनि यहाँनिर एउटा शासन सबैभन्दा कडा त्यो कर्पोरल पनिसमेन्ट भन्दछ नि होइन जुन बन्धन हुन्छ जहाँनिर चाहिँ उसले होइन उसको शरीरको सबै अङ्गहरू नै त्यो ठिङ्गुरो ठोकेपछि के हुँदछ चटपटाउन सक्दैन.
Back in our country, it was very hard to practice our own religion. There was some of the religious persecution. Bhutan government brought a policy called Diglam Namja, which means one nation, one people, one religion. And Bhutan is the Buddhist country. People can't go to the church. There was no church. People can read Bibles.
आज तपाईको हैन संसारले यदि हामीलाई माया गर्दथ्यो भने हैन हामीलाई यो अवस्थामा उनीहरु पुर्याउँथेन उनीहरु जानेको थियो भने
We don't have that fear here, and that makes us feel very happy.
आशीषित बनाउनुहुन्छ. आमेन. आमेन. हालेलुया. हालेलुया.
Good morning. This is Mani from Lynn Community Health Center. I am calling to schedule an appointment for you. In Lynn Community Health Center, I used to be an interpreter, but now my role is a community health worker. Father, mother,
yeah,
they all live there?
Yeah, all in
Cambodia?
Yeah, Cambodia. I live in only one.
Are you working in...
I work the Uber driver.
Oh, you do Uber driver?
Yeah.
Wow, good. We had a lot of stories, patients sharing us that they have a lot of anxiety and they have a lot of difficulties going on. They even don't feel comfortable to walk into the health center. They feel like they might be arrested, they might be deported. This is really sad for me.
Yeah, nothing. All right, very good. Let me go get your medicines.
People came here basically for hope. They are seeking help from us. Good to see you.
Yeah.
ठिकै छ नि त के गरौँ भने नि तपाईको पहिलाको पनि त्यो चिठीहरू पनि राखेर अनि यो पनि राखेर एकैचोटि त्यो गरेर उनीहरुसँग बसेर यो चाहिँ फोन गरेर when I came in US as a refugee, it was a little bit challenges for myself in terms of language. We know a little bit of English, but it is very hard for people to understand what we are trying to say. As soon as I get here, I started going to the ESL class. My teachers, they guide me how to navigate things here. So I started helping our own community. अहिले नै नतिर्नुहोस् हामी के गरौँ भने फोन गरौँ पहिला किनभने अब कहिलेसम्म कति चाहिँ तपाईले तिर्न बाँकी छ कति चाहिँ तिर्नु पर्ने हो यो कुरा चाहिँ उनीहरुसँग सोध्नु पर्छ ल बजासाल स्टार्टेड If we can sit down with one refugees and immigrants, we will be amazed by listening their stories and their experiences in their life. A refugee is that person who has lost everything in his life, but he haven't give up his hope. He still has hope, he still has energy, he still has power. We just need a little bit of help and support. Once in a week, we all come together, share our prayers, struggles. It was very hard for people who are 50 and older. They feel very lonely. They are isolated at their home. So when we have that kind of gathering, and they feel so happy, and they are always welcome. I I don't know American people who are here, why they don't want immigrants or refugees here. I don't understand, because when I look back to the history of America, there are so many people who are immigrant. Even the white peoples migrated from different countries. They work hard, they got a hope, they got help.
Because they're kind of scared.
We should continue, no matter who, whether we are white, green, black, brown, all are human and we have the same red blood.
Hey, you guys can beat Nani. I'm trying as best as I could. Yeah. This thing is crap right here. I'm doing it. Look, see.
Use your both hands up there.
Damn, he's doing it.
Hi, my name is Braulio Teles Vilches. I emigrated from Cuba in 2017. In Cuba, I earned a degree in history and international relations, and I was a professor and career diplomat when I came to the United States. This is my first work with the video storytelling. Here's my film. Thanks for watching.
So thank you again for coming. As always, it's gonna get very crowded, so please don't leave your bag outside. As you see, the posters are here for what we're gonna have coming in on the 15th of this month. It's a big party for all of you, so please invite your friend, your cousin, your mother, brother, everybody, please come through. So today we're gonna dance a lot. If you haven't danced for a few weeks, we're here to dance today, so please, let's go and really burn this place out. Let's do this. Breathe it out. 5, 6, 7, and a 1. 4 and a 1, 2. 4, roll up, 1. And a 1. I started to teach this class in 1998. And I've been teaching this class every Saturday since then and on. Down. Right. I've seen a lot of babies being born in this class. I've seen a lot of people grow in this class. I've seen a lot of people healed in this class. People, breathe it out. I was born and raised in Haiti, came here in 1993. When I left Haiti because my father was killed in Haiti in 1991. I was pretty much numb for years. And Boston gave me a strong purpose to really find myself as an artist and also as a choreographer. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good job, good job. Good job. It's a good job. As an immigrant myself, I always feel the stress of trying to belong here in the United States. I still feel that I'm very touched by the situation when they're asking people, not only Haitians, Mexicans or any other people from other countries to leave this country, that the country doesn't belong to them and they don't belong here. Eat your food. Manger. Manger. You ready for the next chapter?
Yep.
The next chapter now is It's Pierre. It's been here only for 4 months. 4 months, Pierre. Say 4 months.
4 months.
Mm-hmm. And you're eating. I'm eating.
I'm eating.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And you're getting big now.
Mm-hmm. Getting very big. Very big. Big kiss. Oh. Mm-hmm. You pretending. Yeah. Bye-bye. So I remember clearly that the day that they killed my father, and I was like, wow, this is unbelievable that my father will be, you know, killed like this, working for his country. Bravo. You remember when you go and before you pick him up, when he goes in front of you, like you kind of run, not run, like it's kind of like you're stepping in to grab him. We'll have a teen intensive program here every spring with Jean Appolon Expressions. And we have also a season here with the company for like 4 or 5 performances every March and April. So we get very involved in the Boston community here. We really wanted to create a bridge between Boston and Haiti. So we go to Haiti every summer and teach for 2 months or a month and a half. We started this program in Haiti, and it's really taking off in a very great way, because in Haiti, even though you hear about the troubles of Haiti, this program really brings sense to those kids in Haiti, and also to myself and others who go to Haiti every year with me. And that morning when my father got killed, it was a symbol of trouble. When we come here on Saturdays, you have people from every background. From here in the United States, from Haiti, from Africa, from all over the place. Pretty much myself, I knew what I came to this country to do. It was my passion to be a teacher, to be a healer. Because through dance, the community can be healed again.
All right, we'll give folks a moment to rejoin us a bit, and just what excellent films. I hope that everybody enjoyed those. And if you haven't had a chance to see the other films, you are definitely encouraged to either, one, the best ways to find other programming that's going on, With community-supported film, the other option is absolutely to be able to go to the community-supported film website, and you can see some of the previews and other information about the films as well. You are welcome to, if you would like to turn your cameras back on and join us, you are welcome to do so. You are also welcome to stay a little box with your name on it if that makes you happy too. We're happy to do that. Right now, I believe Braulio, who is our filmmaker, and Jean should be able to unmute if needed. And Michael, are you able to unmute on your own? Perfect. Good, good, good. Just to make sure. So first thing I want to do to start off kind of the second part of our program tonight is to, and before we get started in our conversation, I just want to say too, again, we'll be directing some questions to you. We would love your feedback and opinions, but we'll also be asking questions of our filmmakers and subjects. Our most important kind of rule in this type of community conversation setting is that we always make sure that we're using respectful words and respectful kind of phrasing of questions, whether those are in the chat or whether you're saying them out loud, just doing your best to be respectful of all of us in the room. We certainly welcome viewpoints that might hit any angle, and it's an opportunity for all of us to learn from those, but we do just want to make sure that we're using respectful tones with everybody. And on that, somebody who never needs to be reminded for a respectful tone is Michael Sheridan, who is the founder and director of Community Supported Film. And we are so delighted that the House of the Seven Gables has had this opportunity to partner with Community Supported Film over the past couple of years. And Michael's work is really extraordinary. He's inspired these 10 immigrant filmmakers to make films about 10 immigrant subjects. And they really range the gamut in the greater Boston area of covering everything from politics to strong woman to choreography, like you saw tonight, to people who have really kind of, you know, their life has changed from being a refugee into being a professional. So it's really just great to see these wonderful stories come to life. So Michael, I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about community supported film, and then please introduce Jean and Braulio to all of us.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the House of Seven Gables and to the whole team for pulling this together and for doing a series of these, which has been really wonderful to be able to share a variety of the films and the filmmakers, and in some cases, the subjects of the films. So just to give you a little bit of background about community-supported film, you know, I started as a documentary filmmaker working internationally. And in my very first project in Bangladesh, I very quickly came to question what my role was as a white man from the West, from the United States, and how could I play a constructive role in the telling of stories about the other. And most of my work was for either news or international NGOs, looking mostly at economic and social issues. And in Bangladesh, I had a fantastic production team, all Bangladeshi, camera person, sound person, coordinator, story developer. And there I was. And certainly I had a role to play in terms of translating the Bangladesh context into the making sure that things would make full sense to an American audience, which would not be so familiar with the issues and the locations, et cetera. But I quickly came to realize that, frankly, my industry of filmmaking, of news, is still stuck, quite frankly, in a very colonial, old school mindset, very top down and very oriented towards sending our expertise overseas to find and tell the story of others, but mostly from our perspective. And one of the reasons I think we have such challenges, for example, recently with the fall of Afghanistan, and such shock at trying to understand, well, why haven't they accepted us over 20 years? Why haven't they looked to our model, quote unquote, is that we don't actually listen very well, and we don't listen to the local voices, the local perspectives. We do a lot of telling stories about what we're doing elsewhere, what the West is doing elsewhere, and very much even in the nonprofit sector, what we're doing and telling the story about why it's relevant from our perspective rather than from the perspective of those who we're trying to help, which leads often to help that really isn't sustained or sustainable or really driven by local needs, which is very, very unfortunate considering the resources pulled into it. So I really encourage you, just as one issue that we can raise this evening, to really look critically at who is giving you news and information, what kind of background they're coming from. Are they really immersed in the local perspective if they're doing something about an issue or place outside of their own culture? You know, in Europe, there's been a lot of leadership on this issue of driving the news to the local storyteller. If you listen to the BBC or watch the BBC or some of the Guardian newspaper or the Independent, you'll see that a lot of their reporters, a lot of the voices they bring on are really those of the community. That's been a very hard transformation for them. And it's something that, frankly, in the United States context, we haven't really even started to have a conversation about. And so it's one aspect of this work which I think we can pay some attention to just on our own individual information and news sourcing. With that said, I would love to touch base on the films that we saw tonight. Very thankful that Braulio, the director, Braulio Teles Vilches, is with us for one of the films, Lift With Your Heart. And Braulio is of Cuban descent and had come to our training. And let me just say that basically community supported film thinks about places like Afghanistan or Haiti or the new immigrant and refugee community in the United States, who are at various times being talked about a lot in the news, but not necessarily from the local perspective. And we try and use our training capacity to work with people from those places or those communities, gather a group of people together, and then have them produce a series of stories like we've done with the New Immigrants and Refugee Visions. So Braulio was about a year in the country when he got involved with the training program for the making of the 10 films. In fact, if I may be so brave to say, maybe a little out of my place, Braulio can speak to it himself. He was very public about it at the time. When he started in the training, he was still living in a shelter. He hadn't been able to get into his own home. He was unbelievably motivated, unbelievably positive, always has been, always will be, I'm sure. And Braulio is one of those great new Americans that has really immersed himself in figuring out how to get new opportunities for himself and for those around him. And I am thrilled that Braulio is now, after an immense struggle, teaching high school Spanish, I believe in Brockton, but Braulio will correct me if I'm wrong about that. And also joining us tonight is Jean Appolon, who is the subject of Braulio's film. And Jean is one of America's great choreographers, dance teachers, and really cultural integrators.
Hey, Michael, sorry to interrupt you. Your sound is fading out slightly while you're trying to speak. And now I've lost you completely.
Let me see, is this any better? So Jean is not only and I think you can experience it in the film. And it's so appropriate for, I hope, the discussion that we're going to have, which is really about this issue of what is the value and importance of allowing and bringing new people to our country that create diversity, bring cultural opportunities and new visions, as we like to say, to our society. So, Jean, I might start with you. Just a quick question. If you can give us a little overview of just how you're doing that these days. You have so many ventures. You have your dance troupe, you have your youth work, you have your program with Haitians still in training. But tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, what is the value and the importance for you of cultural integration and diversity for, the American experience?
I think for me, I want to say thank you again to everybody who's here with us tonight and people who will be watching this video. I think for me, it's a similar story as the Irish who came here. It's the same similar story as the Italian who came here to find a better way of life. I think that's what this land really opened up for me as a young boy who definitely left my country, was very eager to be in America because my mother was already living here. My mother left Haiti since 1986. And to me, not able to be in close proximity with my mother was something very traumatic. Not only my father's death was traumatic, but not able to live with my mother day by day because my mother always cooked for us on a Sunday. My mother always the one buying us clothes. So when my mother was not there anymore in Haiti with us, for the time that I was in Haiti, I became the mother and the father in the house because when my father died, I spent another year, I think, in Haiti with my brothers and my grandmother. So to me, coming here and be able to bring my culture with me, it's a blessing because to all the trauma that I suffered, I felt like being able to really share this story of mine, share this culture of mine, but also at the same time learning from other people because we have people from all background and ethnicity in the class that you saw. And these people come with all their stories. And for me, I feel like we have a human story, a very unique story, and a story that's very important because as human beings, we need to really continue to try to understand each other. Because trust me, if the choice for me to live in my country and be able to be doing my same work that I'm doing now, I'll definitely say yes to that. But it's just like when those kind of system and politics took place and just ravaging the life of their people or making the country very unbearable for you to stay. That's where I feel very thankful for this land of America to be able to come here and be able to really find the support that I was expecting to find in Haiti. And I'm hoping that other kids that's gonna come from other countries, whatever countries they come from, they can find a home that we create together, not only me, because when I talk about my project, I talk about the community at large, because if it wasn't for the community, I would not be here doing that work. So we just hope that other immigrant or other American alike who come to our places, they can find a place of healing. They can find a place of creating. They can find a place of connectivity because we need that as human beings. Mostly with COVID, I think we are really opening up our minds now with what this virus did for the past 2 years and how we've been trying to hang on each other for hope and for life. So my immigrant story is all those stories. And to me, I find the connectivity to all these stories about, Irish people who came here and now they completely, strive and did beautiful things. And that's what I want to create. I want to bring
It's a
things.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, especially when we think, I'm half Irish, half Italian. I'm your classic, Bostonian of that generation of immigrants. And we were not as welcoming. Let's be very blunt about it, right? And I have certainly learned myself, having grown up in a very monocultural environment, the beauty and the value of the multicultural and just how rich it can make one's life. And it's just with great respect that I watch people like yourself share that, promote it. And every time I watch that scene, I am in tears because of the diversity that you have in that room and your ability to create the energy that you do in that room, which is so impressive. Just going to Braulio, Braulio, I often think that when you filmed Jean, when you went to that classroom for the first time, you were about 1 year in the United States, and you too came from a pretty monocultural background in Cuba. You had come with a great deal of struggle, with seeking political asylum, having had immense challenges in Cuba, having been targeted by the government, and then coming a long journey across the border up into the country. But I'd be very curious what it was like for you to be in Jean's class, seeing all those different types of people in one place, and just sort of celebrating that diversity.
Well, so first of all, thank you so much, Mikey, for having me today, and thanks for our supporters to have the opportunity to give us a voice and a place to, of course, address these topics. So interesting topic in this way. Well, I was not prepared to see what I saw. So, because remember that, excuse me, John, but it is true that at the beginning I was a little resistant to accomplish this goal. But we were analyzing it, we were addressing it, we were thinking of the potential of the work, and we did it. And I was not prepared to see that, to see all these people sharing every kind of people, all right? So not only white or not only Haitian or no. So there was a community, there was like a rainbow of people. Everybody's so relaxed, everybody's so engaged. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. And the colorful of the images, you know, so all the people were assembled together. So the music, so they were a family. And something that you said about that I directed the film, no, you did it because you were on us every second. And I remember when we were making conducting a shot in one of the locations about John's home, I just said, you said something like that. This is pissing me off. I remember that, John. So God bless you, my friend. Nice to see you. So fantastic. And I use John when teaching Spanish, because in my students in Brockton, there is a huge Haitian community. And sometimes these kids who are not Haitians, they are Americans. And they have the American mentality. And sometimes they cannot see how grateful they are to be here. Because in many countries, Afghanistan, Cuba, Venezuela, wherever, so the kids don't have a laptop to work at home, don't have the safety that our schools provide, don't have the teachers the US is able to provide. So they have so many things that they have to see John's experience as a guideline. The American dream, the point is that the American dream is possible. And John is a sample of it. The American dream is possible. Some people are saying that the American dream doesn't exist at all. No, it is not true. I am an example of the American dream. By the way, I passed my MTEL exam, my history MTEL exams, which means that I have 2 certifications. Can you believe it? Do you remember almost 4 years ago, we were talking about that? So I already have my certification as a history teacher in public school, only possible in America, only possible in Boston, Massachusetts, all right? And this is American dream. So I'm not living in a shelter anymore. I'm not living in 112 Southampton, that is quite popular today. I was living there. I have my own apartment, I have my own car. I am teaching Spanish in high school. This is my 2nd year. I'm making a good money. This is the American dream. And this is what John have been doing in a fantastic way. And you, Michael, something that I have to say is that, so when I got involved in your project, I didn't think about the dimension of the project. So for the first time, immigrants people who are not wealthy people, who are the only people who had access to these equipments, to these preparations, immigrant people who didn't know anything about that, filming and making their own stories. So this was amazing. And so far, we haven't seen an experience like this one in other places. And this is something that we have to say, yeah. And this is something I said to my students. So if you are interested in filming career, go there. Community supported film, speak to Michael. Yeah.
That's great, Braulio.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I do want to mention that I'm very sorry, just really quick, Julie, that I'm sorry that Saeed, the maker of the other film that we watched, oh my God, just went right out of my head, of course, Navigating Hope. No, won't you count on me for my brainwaves? Navigating Hope, and Mani, who is the subject of that film, were not able to join us. And I should just give you a little bit of background there, which is very pertinent to the current situation we're in. Saeed, who's Afghan, who had come also about less than a year when he joined the training, he was working at the Afghan embassy in the communications department following his work with us. And of course, the Afghan government and the embassy were closed down with the fall of Afghanistan. And he is now back working as he was in Melrose before in Malden before he left Boston as a caseworker at one of the resettlement organizations. And Mani is also, since the film, has moved to Ohio, which has the largest Bhutanese community in the world outside of Bhutan, as a caseworker. And he's not only working with Bhutanese, but both of them are frankly very overwhelmed, as in general, the resettlement community across the country is right now, and has been for quite a long time with the crisis in our immigration and migration situation. But of course, community-supported film for the last 3 months has been completely and utterly involved and motivated with the Afghan situation of trying to get the folks that worked with us in Afghanistan, some 20 plus families, both evacuated and then resettled. We've so far gotten 9 families evacuated. We're still working on now about 13 more. And it's just been a horrific, horrific experience for all involved in terms of the situations that they've been facing and continue to face, both in Afghanistan and in the places of refuge that they are finding. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Julie.
I want to just say to both Braulio and John, you both basically just had me in tears right now, choking back while I'm on camera with not only your enthusiasm, but just your really, truly heartfelt stories that you're willing to share with, even a small group of strangers. Thank you both for being here. And, my opinion is that we have richer communities because of people like you, for your enthusiasm and for your care. And, the common thread that I obviously see with Michael, Jean, and Braulio is, teaching and educating. And I guess I'd like to ask the three of you, what is your favorite thing about being a teacher, being an educator? And Jean, I'll start that off with you.
For me, I think being a teacher, it's something that I truly wanted to do since I was 3 years old. Funny enough, because every time I see older teacher, mostly women, because I had a lot of women being my teachers in Haiti. My mother also too was a school teacher, even though she was buying things from Panama and Dominican Republic and coming and resell them in Haiti. I always felt like, the voice of a teacher was so intriguing. Because when they said, hey, sometimes they like trying to get your attention, and when they scream or whatever they do, to me, that was such a beautiful thing. To me, that was like, wow, when can I do that one day? And even all my dance school teachers also too were very very aigu voices. Like their voice were like, even though you were sleeping, it's like you still hear their voices in your brain. And to me, that's what I really wanted to do. But also being able to see the development of those kids or adults that you are teaching, because I teach for universities too, also around Boston and also around places that sometimes bring me in for a workshop, to see the way the person might just interpret what you give them. It's just something moving. And to me, that's, I don't know, I want to teach for the rest of my life, because I feel like teaching is something that you're sharing, but also you're trying to give voice to somebody else who might not even understood the subject. So to me, my passion really, it's being a teacher for the rest of my life. Thank you.
And Baralia, we'd love to hear from you again.
Well, so I was a professor in Cuba teaching law, teaching history. When I came to the U.S., there was a challenge I had. So how can I be part of the new reality here in this country? And at the beginning, I was thinking of using my knowledge in German, but the Germans who live here speak very well English, so they don't need. So, and then I was thinking of my background as a teacher and reading and discovering. I realized that the way is Spanish and English. And well, I had to work, and so thank God, thanks to the educational American authorities, I'm back teaching. And teaching is, I enjoy teaching. I enjoy teaching Spanish and see how the kids can communicate, can use Spanish as a tool to transform their reality, as a tool to join communities, to join cultures, to be a better human being, to be educated, you know, because one of my examples in the class is, do you know what the State Department is? They don't know. Well, the State Department is the American diplomacy, your diplomacy. So what do you think if you are in 10 years representing your country in Bolivia, Havana, Haiti? No, Haiti, they do not speak Spanish, but Mexico. And so you can speak Spanish and you are representing millions of people. So in terms of politics, culture, society, community, communication, human being, human rights, or a language, we are in a multilingual world, and the Spanish is part of it. And seeing these kids speaking Spanish and struggling when speaking Spanish is the other thing, and giving them confidence. Hey, so you don't have to sound perfect. You are not a Spanish speaker. This is a plus. All right. It is a big satisfaction. Is a big satisfaction. And a guy like me who came from nothing, because Mike's know about it. I came from nothing. I came to this country almost 6 years ago with just a suitcase. That's it. And it's a huge privilege that this country have gave me. And I want to get back what I am receiving from this nation and contribute to the betterment of our society, because I'm living here. And so to make these kids better and teaching them that violence is not the way, drugs is not the way. So the way is the school, la escuela, all right? Yeah, I'm highly motivated. I'm living my dream, by the way. Actually, Mike, I'm becoming citizen. So I'm waiting for UCs to pass the citizenship exam and to make the Pledge of Allegiance and become one of you. So it is a dream, all right? It is a dream. And so you can be like me, because something that I always tell my kids, so I just came 6 years ago. I'm not American. So you can do it. You have to do it better than me. You have to do it better than me, because you have many, many things that I didn't have, all right? And, you know, in terms of make your nation proud. The other day I was mad at them because we were making the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, and none of them, so some of them don't stand up. Why? So most of you are immigrants. Do you love this country? Really? So show it. Show that you love this country and make the Pledge of Allegiance and honor what this country is doing for you. Because if your parents are not here, you wouldn't be at this school learning how you are right now. All right? And this is something that you have to tell them. If you really love this country, show it. Show it. There are many, many things that I cannot explain. There are many, many, many feelings that I cannot explain right now, but it is a dream and it's real. I'm living it. I'm dreaming it right now.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Michael, what about you for being an educator? What kind of stands out for you in your opportunities? We can't hear you, Michael.
Can you hear me?
Little quiet, but okay.
Really?
No,
Is
now
it
you're
o-
good.
Okay, sorry about that. So you really can't follow on Braulio or Jean's inspiring statements there with much. It is so much, the teaching bug is so much about being able to, provide that motivation and provide really the ability to imagine the possibilities and to give people the basic tools to imagine how things can be used for themselves, for their community. I often end up thinking of teaching very if I think of it from the selfish perspective, I learn so much teaching. I learn so much about the subject that I'm teaching by teaching it, but also, of course, I learn so much about myself, about community, about possibilities from the students. And of course, I've been very blessed to be able to work with, you know, with the New Immigrant and Refugee Visions project. You just can't imagine what it was like being in that room every time we were together with 10 new immigrants, people from 10 different cultures, backgrounds, histories, and just to experience their realities and to learn from that. And that's just often the case with teaching, whether or not it's in Afghanistan or Haiti or here, that you do just find so much that you can gather from it that you can also give back elsewhere, So it's a beautiful thing that way.
We are lucky to have you three teachers with us this evening for sure. And forgive me, I can't remember who made the point and in what film, but somebody just talked about just being in a situation where you felt like you didn't belong. And I think that, unfortunately, this is a part of an immigrant experience. This is a part of being a person of color. This could be a part of being a woman. This could be a part of a lot of people's different experiences. So I'd really kind of like to open this up to the people who are joining us tonight, and, kind of ask if you've been in a situation where you felt you didn't belong. And I think you should be able to use the raise hand feature. And, I'm willing to kind of kick this off by saying a couple of years ago when the House of the Seven Gables first started hosting community conversations, and we had somebody who was coming in and I believe the topic was around the history of the Dominican Republic. And there were two speakers who were in the room and they were fascinating and they were wonderful. And I speak a minuscule amount of Spanish, so I don't understand a lot. And one of the speakers made the decision to say, because most of the room were Spanish speakers, made the decision to say, I'm just going to move on. I'm going to talk in Spanish. And it was kind of along the lines of like, everybody else just has to kind of sit back for a little while. And for me, I was not taken aback in that moment, but I had this kind of epiphany of, this is how that feels, of everybody just moved forward without, myself and maybe the other 10 people in the room who were white English speakers. But at the same time, I was kind of like, you know what, I can take this as an opportunity. I don't understand what's going on. I'm able to pick out maybe 6 words in every minute of speaking that's happening. But I really just tried to listen in on the tone and the feel and the discussion and to be a part of what was happening in the room and listening into other people's reactions and watching other people's reactions to what the speaker was saying. So at the same time, while I didn't benefit from kind of the background of the discussion because it was in Spanish, I tried to pull myself in another direction to make myself felt like I belong and almost forced myself to feel like I belonged in this space where I really didn't felt like I belonged. And, I will always look back on that moment for me as kind of this life lesson of this is how it feels to have, the reverse happen. And it was a really powerful moment for me. So I would like to know, and again, I think you should be able to raise hands and Kaylee and I can keep an eye out for you too, if you just want to give us a wave and turn your camera on. I'd love to see if anybody else has had a similar situation in our group that they'd like to share.
Yeah, or anything that resonates for folks that have joined us from the films, that they, even though it might be a location or a situation or a culture that's foreign, but just the situation resonated for you and called up recollections of your own experience.
And it's also okay if you just want to be a listener too, we understand. Sometimes being a listener is a great way to educate yourself as well. Well, I don't see anybody in the chat. You're also welcome in the chat to let us know too, but I don't see anybody waving a hand and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable in this situation. So that's okay. I shared my story, so I'm happy to do that. Braulio, for you, my question would be.
There's one hand from Kate.
Fabulous. Oh, good, Kate. Excellent.
Hi, everybody. And thank you again so much, Julie, for organizing this and getting everyone together. The films were absolutely amazing. I remember the first time I went to the website and looked at the films and read all about, what you folks are about. I was just blown away, and some of the stories did resonate with me quite a bit. I'm, not only just the settlement and education program manager at the House of Seven Gables, but I've also been an English teacher for over 15 years. And in that time, I traveled extensively, during which point I was in Germany for 8 years. So when I first got there, I definitely had that experience of, oh my gosh, I can't remember much German from, 10th grade or whatever it was, and just really being the other, and always in a conversation where, is it really appropriate to do this culturally, not really fitting in, that whole feeling of, kind of, missing home, but being excited to be in a new culture and how do I fit in? And long story short, after 8 years, not only could I speak German fluently, but I was teaching at university and doing a PhD. So it really just goes to show that, kind of like, what Braulio was talking about, where, you go into a situation with, a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, a lot of energy, and anything is possible. The sky's the limit, and I feel so blessed and grateful to, witness the different experiences and life stories of my students. And as we were, starting this off tonight, Julie and I were talking a little bit about some of the new citizens that have taken the Pledge of Allegiance, the oath, and, become citizens. And just what a wonderful thing that is, because I do believe the American dream still exists. And I do believe that, language brings us together. It doesn't necessarily, separate us. I don't know. I've always thought, I also speak 4 languages. So it's something that I've always been very passionate about, connecting with other cultures, other folks, learning different stories. And I was fortunate enough too, when I was in Europe, to spend some time, meeting some people from Iran, from Iraq, from Russia, Ukraine, all over the map, and just different people's experiences and different stories really opens your mind to, what else is out there, because sometimes when you grow up in the States, you're told a certain perspective per se of what, other cultures are like. But then when you experience them and you meet someone in person, it really, really opens your eyes. And I just believe that it's so important for us to remember that, no matter where you're from, everyone has the same opportunity for an American dream. So, but I did have one question for Jean, because I know when you were in the film, you talked a little bit about how dance is a healing power. How would you describe that? How does dance, I could kind of see in the film what you meant, but I wanted to kind of hear that from your own words.
To me, dance is the only vehicle that I have after my father passed away. After my father was brutally murdered in Haiti, he wasn't passed away. So I was completely numb for months. I couldn't even think of living by myself with my brothers and my mother not seeing my father. And my dance teacher, rest in peace, her name was Viviane Gauthier, who died at 99 years old. But she was teaching me when she was 79 years old. And she said, you need to use dance as a way of healing. I never understood that. And to me, it's when I started to go back again and training in Haiti before I moved to America. And I really find that secret that she was telling me about dance. And when I started to move and listening to the drum and doing the technical movements, I truly find like that me again, because I felt like I was lost and I felt like I was in a dark place. And when I started to move and started to dance, I finally find myself again. And I think dance helped me to really share my story. And that's why I always feel like dance is a healing medium that we can really, even though you're not really trying to be a professional dancer, I think dance gives you a way of expressing, but also a way of sharing your stories or whatever you want to share. Thank you for the question.
It's a great question. And before our kind of audience came into the room, we were talking a little bit about, Jean's dance school and how this is all working in the time of COVID, and, what a big shift has been made from kind of March of 2020 to what happens today. And, I just think this is also an important moment for all of us to remember too, just, arts and culture are obviously, they are not food on the table. They are not having healthcare. But they sustain us in such an important way. And arts and culture, we have lived through a time of trauma. We are living in a time of trauma right now. And, our trauma are certainly all on different levels of what we've been living through. There are some people who have come through the pandemic and still have family, jobs, and things are intact. And there are people who have none of that. And there are people who, on top of the pandemic, have had all sorts of other societal trauma that has been thrust upon them in this time. And, if we have the opportunity to support each other with arts and culture and at least bring a little bit of joy. I know that, watching Jean teach and watching his students perform, just even in that very brief film, that Baraglio created, really for me just kind of brought this moment of joy. So I think there's a lot to be said for participating in that within your own community if you have the ability to, and whether it's attending a program like this that's online. One of the things Jean talked about is they had a 300-person basically Zoom dance party that nobody wanted to end, even though everybody was in their own homes and everybody was on Zoom. They didn't want the fun to end. And I think that we still have a lot of great opportunities to find ways to do that in a way that feels good and safe for each individual person, but really to let the arts envelop us during this time and support the arts and support the wonderful community people who are around us who are doing work like Jean is doing too.
And while we're at it, we should mention that Jean has a number of events and performances coming up. Jean, do you want to speak to those? And I will put your link back down at the head of the chat.
Thank you, Michael. We have a lot. We have December 11 dance party that's going to happen at the Armory in Somerville. We have a big premiere about mental health. We're going to be dancing a project named Traka, which means trouble. So we really wanted to show how dance can really help people find healing through their trauma. So this project's been choreographed before COVID hated us. We were supposed to present it at the BCA, but because of COVID, they canceled the show. But now the ICA took the show on and they wanted to premiere the show. And we are so excited to see the show gonna be presented on May 13 and 14 at the ICA. So please get your tickets in advance. I think that, they're already starting to sell tickets. But in December, I think that's the time I really would like to see even though it's limited to a capacity because of COVID, but I would like for everybody to come up and dance and share their stories and see our stories change our lives, because we have a lot of performance that's going to be happening to our dance company members, but also to our community dancers. They are from the age of 22 to all the way up to 90 years old who's going to be performing with us. We have a teen in Haiti. Despite of the horrific news that you're hearing about Haiti, we have young girls on Zoom dancing with us every Friday. But for the past 2 weeks, they've been closing the space. I think one of the members of that space directors of that place got kidnapped also too. But the girls couldn't come to the space anymore, but they supposed to still come because we still receiving message from those girls and be like, we miss you, we want to dance again. So to me, I am very encouraged for the power of what we can bring as a community. And that's just know I really commend you, Michael, and everybody who's part of this creativity to say thank you, because giving voices to people that other people might not even understand yet, it's such a powerful tool to to give us. So thank you again for that.
Thank you. So another question that kind of came up and another kind of common thread that I think was shown in the films that also kind of came out of discussion too is, how can we, people who might be born and raised in America, I guess I would ask for Baraglio, Jean, and if we do have anybody else who is maybe not an American born citizen on here too, of like, how can we be better listeners and supporters of you and other immigrants? And Baraglio, we'll let you take off on this one first.
Wow. So this is a very interesting question. Even though I don't have a passport, I feel like I am a citizen of this country. So because I pay my taxes, I am a model citizen, and I respect the law of this magnificent nation, and I encourage other people to do it as well, and to do your part to make this country better than it is. I believe that communication and education are basic. The school is basic in everything, and plus culture, communication. So through the school, we socialize values, we promote the communication, the dialogue, and we accept the differences. And I believe that using these tools, we can get the comprehension, the understanding of the American people. So through dialogue, through communication, through conversation like these ones, and promoting culture. The culture is a vehicle to connect people from different perspectives, and with patience, because not everything is just like that. It's a process, and we have to understand everything. We have to be careful. We have to design proper messages, and I see that school plays a critical role in all this. And school and what else? Yeah, so opportunities. I think that what is doing the government right now in order to promote education, free colleges, free tuitions, all this is so powerful, because when the people are prepared and they know and they learn, they are in a better position to establish a dialogue with others.
Braulio, there's also a lot of resistance, right? And yes, I'm wondering what you do. What do you do when you face resistance to cultural difference, language difference? How do we encourage people to take that step to not have fear of difference?
Well, so on regular basis, my students, they are immigrants, so they are most of the time open. Most of them. And it is very interesting because I have some students, so Brockton is an immigrant community, but in my classes, I have some American kids, so white kids, and it is unbelievable, but these kids are more conscious about how powerful the language is than many others who are immigrants. Is unbelievable. So the best students I have in my classes are American kids, white kids, and because
those kids are aware of what the potential is and what the power is of that diversity. They're accepting of it. Is that why, or not?
They accept that, and they go beyond. They go beyond, and they use the language to improve themselves. But the answer your question, Mike. Communication. I think that communication is the base of everything. Using all the tools and our resources we have, communication and respect. So communication and respect are, together and working with the people, speak with the people. So speak with everybody and do not get tired of doing this is important as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, but it takes an intense amount of patience. Do you ever, Jean, do you or Braulio, do you ever get impatient with that resistance, or is that the sense of being pushed to the outside by some in America?
If you are a teacher, you shouldn't be impatient. Now, go ahead, John.
I think to me, anything that somebody doesn't understand scares them. It's just for me also too, because I used to see in my country when we were growing up in Haiti that there were a lot of white folks who would come around with their camera in front of our house and start taking pictures. And my mother was terrified. My mother was like, what's going on? Come in, because they can just steal you and just leave with you. And it was just something that we didn't know, because we didn't know why people it was not from Haiti doing that. So to me, I feel like when I come here, is the same thing that I tell my friends, like in my communities that will come around, like, we can be communicating better. Because sometimes when somebody doesn't understand something, you cannot blame them for reacting negatively. It takes a strong, good-hearted person to really try to open up to anything that they see and trying to research it like we are doing now. But for the other people, I never feel angry towards anybody who's being resistant or who's being clueless about my culture, because if they don't know it, because I met a guy when I first moved here and he said, oh, you are Haitian, you are voodoo. And I'm like, what do you know about voodoo? And he's like, I don't know nothing about voodoo. And I'm like, but you know about it, but you're associating me with it. And he's like, oh no, because not what you do in Haiti. I'm like, no, we don't do that. It's the stories and the books that you see. And sometimes people and they make things spicy, but myself, my family, we grew up Protestant, but still I know what voodoo is, but it's not something that a lot of the time, a lot of people associate with. So I had to really kind of give him a little bit of like speech about what I do, and for him to really understand who I am, and also how sensitive I was to subjects that he can be sensitive also to. So I think when we try to do that, I think we really open up, more dialogue, and we open up more opportunities for us to learn about each other, because we cannot ask people to learn about something that they don't know. I think that's something that definitely we should definitely always open the circle to have people be more careful and be more sensitive to others. And I think there's a lot of great organizations around here who's doing that kind of work, just like we are doing right now. But most of the time when somebody is until the person is not very violent towards me, I'm very willing to really speak and to really listen and to really give them my point of views, because I don't know, I found that even in my own country, when I go back now, I become a foreigner because people see me as an American. And they feel like, why this American is coming here to do this class, because, he's dancing our culture. And I'm like, I am Haitian. Can you understand that? And this is hard to leave your country and go back in it. And you are so thirsty to immerse yourself. And suddenly your same people telling you, what did you learn this from? This is Haitian culture. I'm like, I am Haitian. Can you understand that? Of course, I do speak English, but I am an Haitian man who really studied the culture and was so passionate about the culture, and I want to continue to learn. And sometimes they're like, oh, it's just strange because you don't look Haitian enough. So this is where we are as a lot of immigrants. So it is funny at the same time, but it is great work to just continue to do what we have to do in this country, in this world, to make people feel like we are human beings, therefore, and we need to really try to understand each other. Because I had another teacher, that last story, Mani Silva from Brazil, who came here to Boston, did a big show with MIT, and she was teaching some dances, traditional dances from Brazil. And I was from Haiti, and I didn't even speak English well. And this woman was speaking to me in Portuguese, and in Portuguese every time, because I look, just like her, because she was a beautiful Black woman, and she thought but everything that she said to me, I truly understood it. Even though I couldn't respond, because her demeanor was like, yes, you have to play, and, obrigado. And I'm like, okay, okay, mom. So she become a mother to me, and I become understanding her because she was so persistent for me to get it. So to me, that's why I think we have to really see the beauty in each other when it comes to language and beauty of different tradition that we have. And to me, like, learning ways to be around Halloween was like crazy. I'm like, oh my God, this is what they do. We do the same thing in Haiti also too, but we do it differently. So we have so much commonalities, but we have so much beauty with ourselves that we need to share. I think that's what we have to really kind of publish more, like the beauty that we have within us that we have to share with each other.
Together then on that note and on that kind of note of how we can come together and how we can listen all better to each other. I do want to open it up and just see if anybody else from our audience would like to ask a last question or share a last thought. I just don't want to leave anybody's voice behind. But I am not seeing any. Michael, before I wrap up, do you have anything else you would like to share on behalf of community supported film? Oh, you're muted again, Michael, or the microphone.
Happening, but you can hear me now. I would just, it would be remiss of me not to mention that, we do have a migrant crisis. We have a lot of challenges right now. House of Seven Gables is doing great work around integration and assistance to people who are coming into the country. There are many resettlement organizations that are highly stressed. Whatever you can do in your own community to help welcome new members of our community, that's really, really helpful. I'm going to put in the chat, or we can also, maybe we'll just send it actually with the email that goes out afterwards, because it's a little cumbersome. But we are right now involved in some very intensive advocacy to congressional leaders and the White House about what is and is not happening in terms of support for the Afghans who are evacuating and either haven't been able to evacuate yet or in very fragile situations, either here or elsewhere around the world. So we have a number of advocacy initiatives along that line. It would be wonderful if people can take a look at those and see if they can support communicating with their representatives about those issues.
Wonderful, Michael. Thank you so much. And Jean Appolon, just thank you. Thank you for being here with us tonight too, for sharing your passion with us and your enthusiasm. And oh my goodness, if I wasn't already an American citizen after listening to the two of you, I would be racing to find a way to do so. So just thank you so much. We're so lucky to have seen your work and to learn from both of your stories. It's really just wonderful. And Michael, this has just been such an amazing partnership for the House of the Seven Gables with community supported film. I know the Gables look forward to finding ways to work with you in these projects in the future, as well as all of the subjects and filmmakers. If there's ever great collaboration, I know the Gables would love it. Kate's like, yep, absolutely. And just a big thank you to our House of the Seven Gables members who have joined us tonight as well. Thank you for all of your support, for everything that you do to help keep us going. We really appreciate it. And if you're not a member, we definitely encourage you to join us and to be able to take advantage of tours of the house, great programs, and really wonderful volunteer opportunities that are coming up with our settlement house and our partnerships as well. Kaylee has put a couple links in the chat for donations for both the Gables and community supported film, but we'll also send these out in a follow-up email, as well as a short evaluation of this film. That evaluation is really crucial for you to fill out if you could just take a few moments to do so. Community supported film, like everybody, not like everybody, but like many of us are a nonprofit. And this really helps to give direction to the organization, but also helps with finding and securing funding as well. So your couple of minutes you could spend on that evaluation would be greatly appreciated as well. And then, most of all, just thank you for our audience for being here tonight. You were a small audience and a quiet one, which is okay. I hope you listened and learned a lot and really enjoyed everything. But from all of us at the Gables, just thank you for being here. We'll have this recording up sometime in the next few days on our YouTube channel, and really look forward to continuing the conversation in a number of ways. Have a wonderful
Thank
evening
you.
and a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you all so much.
Ciao, everybody.
Good night.
Have a wonderful
Thank you.
day.